What if I told you that right now there might already be a base on the moon, built quietly, tested silently, and almost no one noticed? No global announcement, no breaking headlines, just silence. Now pause for a second, because this isn't science fiction. This is about what's happening right now. Over the past few years, China has been moving fast in space, very fast. Missions, landings, new technology, step by step. They've been building something bigger. But here's the strange part. Most people aren't paying attention. Let's rewind. For decades, the moon was just a symbol, a past victory, something humanity had already done. The United States landed there, planted a flag, and then we stopped going back. So the moon became quiet, forgotten. Or at least that's what we thought, because behind the scenes, a new race has already begun. And this time, it's different. But here's the twist. This isn't about flags anymore. This is about control, positioning, resources, power beyond Earth. China has already sent multiple missions to the moon, orbiters, rovers, sample return missions, each one more advanced than the last, each one testing something new: landing systems, navigation, surface operations. It looks like exploration, but what if it's preparation? Now this is where it gets serious, because recent reports and satellite observations have started raising questions. Strange activity patterns, repeated missions to similar regions, focus on very specific locations near the moon's south pole. Why there? Why keep going back to the same area? And what happens next is unexpected, because scientists believe that region holds something incredibly valuable. Not gold, not oil, something far more important for space: water, frozen beneath the surface, hidden in permanently shadowed craters. Think about that. Water on the moon means fuel, oxygen, sustainable presence. In simple terms, it means you can stay there. So now ask yourself, if one country gains control of that area, what does that really mean? And here's the question no one is asking loudly enough. What if this isn't just exploration anymore? What if it's the beginning of something permanent, something already in motion right now? Because in part 2, we're going deeper into what China has actually built, the missions that hint at something much bigger, and the evidence that suggests this may not just be a plan, but a reality. Now this is where it gets serious, because when you connect the dots, a very different picture starts to appear. It begins with a series of missions, carefully timed, highly precise, each one building on the last. China didn't just go to the moon once and stop. They kept going back, again and again. First, they mapped the surface in detail, high-resolution images, topography scans, resource detection. Then came the landings. Rovers exploring terrain, testing soil, studying conditions. All of this looks normal, standard exploration, right? But here's the twist. They weren't landing randomly. Most missions were targeting specific regions, especially near the moon's south pole, a place that's extremely difficult to reach. Extreme temperatures, long shadows, dangerous terrain. So why risk it? Because that's where the future is. Now pause, because this changes everything. The South Pole isn't just another location, it's strategic. It has access to sunlight for energy and shadows that preserve ice, the perfect combination for a long-term base. And what happens next is unexpected, because China didn't just explore. They started testing infrastructure. Landing precision improved dramatically. Robotic systems became more advanced. Communication systems became more stable. Each mission wasn't just collecting data, it was solving problems. Problems you only face when you're planning to stay. Think about that. You don't invest this much, this consistently, unless you're building towards something permanent. Now this is where things get even more intense, because China isn't doing this alone. They've announced plans for something called an International Lunar Research Station. Sounds harmless, scientific, collaborative. But look closer. This isn't just a research outpost. It's a long-term presence on the moon. Robotic first, then human. Step by step. And here's the detail most people missed: the timeline. Early construction phases happening right now. Robotic assembly missions planned, followed by human missions in the coming years. So ask yourself, if the foundation is already being laid, then how far along are they really? Because here's the uncomfortable possibility. What we're seeing publicly might only be part of the story. There could already be early-stage systems in place, automated units, testing modules, basic infrastructure operating quietly. Not a massive base yet, but the beginning of one. And here's the real question. If something is already there, why hasn't it been openly shown? Pause, because this next part matters. Space is no longer just exploration, it's competition. The United States, China, other global powers, all watching each other, all moving carefully, and no one wants to fall behind, because controlling key positions in space means controlling the future. And what comes next could turn this quiet race into something much bigger, because in part 3, we're breaking down what this means for the world, the risks of a new space conflict, and why the moon might become the most important location in human history. So, what does all of this really mean, not just for space, but for Earth? Because this isn't just about a base on the moon, it's about something much bigger: power. For the first time in history, control is no longer limited to land, sea, or air. Now, it extends beyond the planet. And here's the reality. Whoever establishes a strong presence on the moon gains a massive advantage. Why? Because the moon is not just a destination, it's a platform. From the moon, you can launch missions deeper into space, Mars, asteroids, beyond, with less fuel, less cost, less resistance. Pause for a second. That changes the entire game. But here's the twist. This isn't just about exploration, it's about resources. Resources on the moon could be worth trillions. Helium-3, rare minerals, water ice, fuel for the future, energy for Earth. So now ask yourself, if one country gets there first and sets up control, what happens next? Now this is where it gets serious, because space has always been peaceful on the surface, but underneath, competition has never stopped. Treaties exist, rules exist, but they were written decades ago, before this level of technology, before this level of ambition. And here's the problem. Those rules are no longer enough. Because if multiple powers start building on the moon, who decides what belongs to who? Who controls resources? Who sets the boundaries? No clear answers. And that's where tension begins. Imagine this: two major powers operating bases in the same region of the moon, competing for the same resources, watching each other. What could go wrong? Everything. And what happens next could change everything, because the moon could become the first real battleground, not with weapons, but with control, influence, and dominance. Now think deeper. If infrastructure is built there, communication systems, navigation systems, observation points, the moon becomes more than a base. It becomes a strategic high ground over Earth. And that's a level of power humanity has never seen before. But here's the chilling part. This is already happening. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, step by step, mission by mission. While most of the world is focused on Earth, the next great shift is unfolding above it. And by the time everyone fully realizes it, the positions may already be taken, the rules already set, and the balance of power already changed. Because the race for the future is no longer happening on this planet. It's happening on the moon, and we're only just starting to notice.